guys and a microphone. Two bald guys and a microphone. Two bald guys and a microphone. Two bald guys and a microphone. Hello, we're back, and some people been wondering where we've been. It don't matter, cause right now it's happening. Same station, new day and time slot. Content forever is flowing, we won't stop. Providing remedies for chemical brain freeze. And teaching reboot, stressing you believe. We're two bald guys and a microphone. We're glad to be back, it feels good to be home.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Two Bald Guys and a Microphone. Of course, the guy over here is not the typical bald guy. Coach Papa is down in Texas doing Texas things, I guess, today.
Shooting pigs, I think.
Yeah. This guy here, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
That's an old 80s song, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, a good shout out right now to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. John and his team over there, www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190. They have been with us since the beginning. If you are stressed, they'll help you feel blessed, especially on this day. It's a great gift, better than flowers. Nice massage. Get a nice deep tissue massage.
I agree.
My wife wanted a massage, and now she's got 4 kids. Like, my youngest is like, Mom, did you want another girl? She goes, I wanted a massage.
With benefits.
That's right. And of course, our good friends over at JH Events and Flowers. Today is the day of love. So if you feel that flowers are the way to show that love, stop over at JH Events and Flowers. Check them out at jheventsflowers.com. For all of your floral and needs, whether it's a wedding, whatever. But Valentine is a good day for it. Two locations now. They're right over here in McHenry, and then right across from the train station in Fox Lake. So there you go. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Doc, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jeff.
That's it.
Yeah. That sounds
Jeff's
good.
a 4-letter word too.
It is one syllable.
Yeah.
Remember the days of one syllable words?
Yeah. And Kent is, and love.
Love.
It is. Happy Valentine Day, by the way, to everybody. You a big Valentine Day believer?
Well, I'm into love.
Yeah.
That's my purpose.
Yeah.
And my passion.
Tell me about that.
Oh, jeez. What if only when we step into love will we make a ripple?
Interesting.
We're going to talk about the ripple.
The ripple. I love it.
We're going.
No, I'm an energy guy. So I absolutely love that. And I hate today. Not because you're here.
I love you.
Yeah.
This is getting crazy.
Yeah. I've been married, will be 32 years in June.
Me too.
And congratulations. June. Yeah, July what?
Love you more now.
Yeah. Man, that's it, brother.
We're gonna hug before.
I'll tell you, we will. Okay. And if I were to do anything for my wife on Valentine's Day, she would think I'm cheating on her or had cancer or something. And I started out when we first were married. Actually, when we were first dating, and I was like, I don't do Hallmark holidays and things. I'll show you that I love you all year round. That's cool. Instead of just one day. Yeah. Right. And then I've got, then I had a son and 3 daughters, and people are like, you don't get your daughter? I'm like, no, I don't get them anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, if they need a new pair of shoes, I get them a pair of shoes. I don't, Valentine's Day. So so my oldest daughter's married, and I imagine that her husband is going to spoil her first Valentine's Day being married.
Yeah. And
that sets a bad precedent. I try to talk to her.
Yeah. Talk some sense into it.
Yeah, I tried.
You gotta embrace the capitalistic holiday.
You do. You so do. And is it Valentine's Day? So more than one, or is it just Valentine Day?
Well, that's depends on how much wine you're drinking.
Or what part of Chicago you're from. The Valentines. So I said, we said love is a 4-letter word. And you talked about walking into it and creating the ripple.
Right. Yes.
Expand on that.
Well, I was smoking a little marijuana.
This morning?
No, some time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was listening to a song. You ever heard of the Grateful Dead?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, I hadn't. Can you believe that? Right before COVID, I was like a virgin.
Seriously.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
And like that was a stressful time.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I kind of went within, and so I went out into the woods, sat with nature, and she was very good to me.
Yeah.
And and then I was listening to this song that I had never heard before, and then I got what I call a download.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
Love
poetic, and then I wrote it down. Somehow I had the sense to write it down, and it was about love.
And you got it? Did you?
Yeah. You want me to share it?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry because I'm super sensitive.
Well, there's a lot going on.
What if only when you step into love will you make a ripple upon the still waters where pebble and stone and wind are not? What if? And what if it isn't a person, place, or thing, but a present moment feeling found only in the now? And that's it. What if it's an essence or a being, a state, a frequency, housed conveniently within the Son of Man, you and me? We're getting deep now. We're feeling goosebumps.
Yeah.
But seriously, and so when it's forced into a one-day holiday, you can kind of get a little,
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you do it all year round, then you deserve to get a massage with benefits.
There you go. That's right.
Hey, just kidding.
I like that though, and you'll see over on the whiteboard, and I show everybody this, and I've shared it many times on here.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at number 7 over there for rules for success, it's practice mindfulness, right?
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
So, and I love what you say is, what if it's a moment? What if it's a piece of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question I would ask is, why don't we look for that every day, that moment?
I think,
and when I say we,
I know
humans.
what you mean. Oh yeah, I think we live outside the moment in the matrix of thought.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's until we sink beneath the matrix of thought will we discover really that God is an essence of frequency.
Amen.
Of love.
Yeah.
And we are that.
Yeah.
And we're all one, connected consciousness.
Yeah.
And we bathe within this womb we call the universe. So what if only when we return back to the frequency of non-judgment and compassion will we discover our truest nature, the love of one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look so good today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love
Got a good night's sleep.
I love it.
And I'm coffeeing up.
Yeah. I drank 2 cups already, I think.
And I love that because I'm an ordained deacon
cool.
in the Episcopal Church. I don't participate in the Episcopal Church anymore because I've kind of gone this way as well, understanding that people say, hey, we're created in the image of God.
Yeah.
And a lot of us in our little brains think, that looks like me and you, human. And I'm like, no, God is love. It says it right there. That's what we've been taught. So if we're created in that image, we're created in the image of love. So kind of returning to that point, when are you the happiest? I mean, do you have any kids?
4.
So
I 4
nice,
massages.
me too.
4 massages ended into 4 beautiful babies.
Yeah. And if you remember the moment of inception of the massage, right? And then you remember that moment when there's no right. That's it.
That's it.
That's that moment. That's that frequency.
That's that frequency.
Right. And that's when I don't care who you are. That is when you're at your absolute happiest. Right. Your Zen state of being. And then we go, well, here you go, pooped. and right.
Yeah.
And then that little bundle of happiness then gives us a lot of frustration and white hair and right. But if it was ever taken away, no, boy, right. So yeah, I wish that people would try to step into that frequency or try to find it every day. And there's a lot of people that do. Right. But I think there's a lot of people who, if you can think of that energy, magnet, they reverse it, and it pushes them perhaps farther away from
Right.
it on a daily basis.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about the purpose of life,
Yep.
but what if the purpose of being is alchemy? And the purpose of alchemy is being, or transmuting the darker energies of frequencies into lighter frequencies.
Yeah.
And what
That's
if
deep.
only when we learn to walk beside the devil in all of its lace will we surrender to compassion's full embrace? Meaning, what if only when, like Johnny Cash said, you have to hang your head sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to have grace for yourself. It's been said, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy mind and soul and strength. And the second's like unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. What if only when you come to love the one within will you come to love the one in another?
And that's hard to do.
And it's hard to do. We've been trained out of our divinity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so when will men no longer pray to idols of stone? When they come to love the one within.
Right.
And him alone. I would prefer to say her. Because what if God is not a he, but a she, but an androgynous entity?
I say that all the time.
I
I do. I challenge a
getting
lot
fun.
of
I
yeah.
love
I challenge
this.
a lot
This
of
is fun.
clergy. My brother is a Lutheran bishop.
Okay.
My dad has been
This
a
is cool.
Lutheran minister for
Uh-huh.
years and years, centuries, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the and I challenge I challenge that all the time,
Mhm.
just to think deeper, to get out of I think our journey is like a frost on a windshield. So for all of our listeners who get frost on the windshield, right?
Yeah, right.
It's not real thick at times, but you got to
Uh-huh.
still scrape it off to be able to see.
Right.
And each time you scrape it off, you get a little clearer vision.
That's
right?
so true. And I would say that scraping that off is analogous. Is that a word?
Sure, we'll go with it
Analogous?
today.
That's a big word. But to scraping off the dogma, the doctrine, and the
Yeah.
ideology that we get dipped into as
Mhm.
we journey through this life called the Matrix. And what if the great discovery upon the hero's journey is but to find that the ways of the world are but the ways of the divine? And only when we come to see Mother Nature as perfect will we start to come
Right.
to feel ourselves as sublime
Yeah.
and be at that frequency. But see, we judge so much.
So where's your happy place? Is it out in the woods? I mean, you said you went
out
to
in
the woods.
Yeah. So I would say, I'm so poetic this morning.
Yeah, I love it.
Here's a poem.
In the zone.
Nature yearns not for the presence of my heart, and yet remains my love. Oh, to be like the butterfly who toils not for the presence of my beloved. Like a mistress, my beloved is loving without wanting, and blissful as the rainbow, whose essence is but moment-lived. I kind of chop that up. But I would say my wife emulates that in my life.
Yeah.
And so do my kids, and so does nature. And so, I would go off into nature, and, sometimes I'd have a gummy bear.
Absolutely.
I'd have to push out that matrix and COVID and all these things that.
So let me look at the calendar then, because what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make it public as well. Is you are invited to Man Camp.
I like
Man Camp is going to be the September 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
I'll write that down.
Before you get out of here.
Okay.
So for 21 years, me and a bunch of buddies of mine, we've invited Coach. He hasn't come. He's always got soccer or something weird going on. But we've got 3.5 acres up in Tomahawk, Wisconsin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right on the Wisconsin River.
Oh, man.
Right.
So awesome.
So no women, no children, because there's no running water up there. So
yeah.
you're pooping in a hole.
That sounds like me.
Yeah. So it's just dudes up there being dudes, and what
awesome.
happened, and basically it's very Nate. I mean, we just sit and talk as men. We
That's
cry.
awesome.
We get deep.
That's
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
But every time people come, they're like, "This is not. We're coming back next year."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
good. Man.
So it's just a long weekend, but it's
I'm in.
it's dudes just going out and being in nature, unplugged. Where we're at, you really get maybe one bar if
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Oh, yeah.
On your phone. So you're basically unplugged and free for 4 days.
That's awesome.
And people come. You can only spend a couple days. You come spend a couple days, but
I would say I think we need to get back into nature.
Yeah.
You know, and if we want to get close to God's heart and listen, I think it sounds like Mother Nature.
okay,
There's another poem. Here they come.
go with it.
Okay, here's a poem that came as I was off into nature, sitting by a brook of water, and it goes like this: get close to God's heart and listen. It sounds like nature, how the waters giggle over the stones and glisten. Why is man's heart not more peaceful than these? Because he's attached to his ego, and that is his one true disease. What if karma is but sown and grown in the soil of the ego? So remember, with life as short as a half-taken breath, don't plant anything but love. And that last quote is by Rumi, and it just kind of blended into that, that download, I call it. And so what if we start to look at things differently, and that the universal Christ that's been said is it, all of it. We can call it Buddha consciousness, but what if it's all love? It's all a frequency within the womb of creation. And when we get into that coherent state or that frequency, then we can be co-creators with the creator, which is who we are. Well, hey, this is having fun.
This
is the funnest I've not had this much fun. Until
So as we're, how do I want to say this? From a human standpoint, from people just being out there, how do you find that love? Right. So you and I will, even if I just go into my wood shop, right, and I'm touching the wood or that sounded weird, but woodworking, right? Woodworking, or I'm out, I'm out in just out in my backyard or out in nature or whatever, riding my motorcycle. There's nothing more freeing to me too, right? I call it wind therapy, because
Mr. Breeze.
you have to be totally in the moment when you're on a bike. Otherwise somebody's going to run you over, a deer is going to run out, whatever.
Right.
So for all of our listeners out there who struggle to find that or feel that they've been burned by love, how do you find it? Well, I mean,
well, I think you have to start from within. It all starts there.
Mm-hmm.
What if enlightenment is but a kiss away?
Right.
But first, you must step within. And what if awakening is but an orgasmic eruption of the heart, of God's heart,
right,
of our hearts? And so I think that we have to look inside and here's another poem.
The mic is yours.
Hey,
brother.
This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
The mountain cannot remove the mist any more than the mist can remove the mountain. And so it is with man. The man cannot remove the shadows within any more than the shadows can remove the man. And so what if only when we stop judging our own shadows, will we cease judging the shadows in another? When you stop being your worst critic, only then will the critic stop.
And the hard part is the programming that we've accepted to be that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting. We start off. We go to Sunday school. We get dipped in this thing we call sin. And what if sin is but the grand illusion of being separate from the divine within?
Right.
What if sin is but the seed that's sown in the soil of fear? And what if the God within has always been since bright? My dear, we got to be poetic,
You are very.
So
nice.
what
no
if
wonder Coach likes you.
What if inside of us is the seed of divinity, of greatness? It's been said, "Be still and know that I am."
Right.
But I say unto you, my son, be still and know that I am, or the divine mind, resides within you. And only when you become empty, still, and without attachments will you inherit the kingdom I have prepared for you. And what if that kingdom is God's peace, a state of being?
Yep.
And when you start to love yourself and you stop judging those things we call sin or shadows, you'll start to love yourself more, and then you'll love others more. Right?
Yep. Yep.
But at some point, it's been said, many interpret the holy book, while only lovers interpret themselves. But I say unto you, only when you sup from the cup of living waters that are born within will your thirst be quenched.
So you love yourself?
Well, not really. Hey, listen to this. It's one thing to comprehend. It's another thing to become.
Right.
And I am trying. I had some trauma when I was young,
Mhm.
and it left me scarred, and I didn't even remember it. I had closed it off,
Yeah.
and I was like 5 when it happened, outside somewhere.
Yeah.
You probably get me. And I didn't tell anybody. And then right before COVID, I had an out-of-body experience.
Right
I
on.
left my body, came back in, and had this thing that happened to me. I stopped breathing, had a seizure, and then after my body came back from being one with the universe, when I came back into my body, I was mindless. Jeff was no longer, and I was sort of an empty vessel for a few hours. And I got 12 downloads, and I somehow could write them down. I don't know how I had the ability to do it. And then after that, I had some dreams and visions, and then I kept going to the woods, and I would feel and experience these impressions.
Sure.
So that's kind of my journey. So my journey of self-discovery during COVID was that God is, I am, and all is one.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is loving yourself,
Yeah. I've got a test. Hey, the new What If show this morning. How are you? Nice. I love you. Facebook user.
Cool. Welcome in.
That's either Lisa or Shayna, or I don't know, maybe it's just a new Facebook user. So I have a test on that I work with a lot of young folk.
Okay, cool.
Right. And being 55 this year, everybody's young.
Right.
But I always say that I can tell if you love yourself quickly by asking one question. Okay. And the question is, when you look at a picture that you're in, do you look at you first?
Yeah, I kind of do.
You love yourself, right? Then you love yourself. Now, I have worked with people who, when I say work, talked with people and whatnot that say, I don't ever.
Is anybody else in that picture?
Right. Well, that's what I say. I mean, listen, it can be me and my children, and I still look right at me like,
wow,
you're looking good in that. Ooh, what are you doing in that one?
Man.
Right. And that's a good start. And for somewhere along the way, our programming, the narrative that we've chosen to accept as a people is it's not good to love yourself.
Well, we have to not love ourselves because remember, we're sinners.
Right.
Right. And people might listen to this and go, why are we talking religion?
Yeah.
Well, because, religion, here we go. Religion, when rooted in fear, is but leprosy to the soul.
Right.
And only when we replace our belief in that, and we see that beyond the eyes of man is the soul, and its truest nature is infinite oneness where love and light make whole.
Yeah.
Will we be set free from duality's chains? I talk about duality's chains, and what if that is, we see such contrast, good and evil, black and white, but what if it's really non-dual? It's been said the forbidden fruit, right?
Yeah.
Was this fruit from the tree, but what if the forbidden fruit truly is just duality? It's opening our eyes to the contrast, and what if the contrast is but the soil in which God is sown, you and me? What if we're the gods sown in the soil of fear? And when you cultivate the soil of the soul garden, sometimes thorns stick up.
Absolutely.
And so here's one I think that's really come through is that only when we become sovereign over our own soul garden, we understand the power of becoming Christ.
Yeah.
And Christ isn't Jesus. Christ is an anointing. It's a chrism. It's a sacred secretion that's released within us upon the tree. The 33 vertebra.
Yeah.
The eye of Horus. So when you start to look at all these truths that we've been taught, you can go down a few rabbit holes and find that it's interesting. You know what I mean?
So the three wise men brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's just nice offerings." Actually, no. If you really dig into those three, that's really the fountain of youth. I mean,
right.
Used properly.
Right.
It's frankincense is an incredible journey.
Frequency.
Journey,
yeah.
Right. And pure gold is as well. So I mean, if you dig into it, right, and but we're told the Sunday school stories like, oh, now they came bearing gifts.
Right.
No, that
the Magi.
Those three are the key to life.
They are.
Elements. And we're chosen. Oh, you're carrying a bucket of gold coins like a pirate. Not so much, right?
Right. So much. So here's, what if the crucifixion upon the cross is but a metaphor for washing out the dross, alchemy, transmuting those frequencies that perhaps are lower to higher frequencies, and maybe that's really what we're all about here, and that is.
Well, there's a lot to that, right? The ground shook, the temple, the curtain was. I mean, there was a lot of energy that happened. To your point, the alchemy part of it, and all of a sudden, like, ooh,
it's interesting, when you start to look at all of this. We got deep.
Yeah,
this is fun.
It's good in the morning to sometimes stretch that way.
Yeah, that's usually what I'm doing right now. I'm stretching.
Yeah. So I mean, Coach, that's what Two Bald Guys is. Yeah. Is we want people to think. We the name of the company is DDOE Enterprises, so Daily Dose of Encouragement Enterprises Inc. We want people to tune in to us and go, oh,
that's good.
Let me think about that. Let me sit on that. Or these two guys are all, what's in their coffee, right? And that's okay too. But especially on St. Valentine Day, and there's an interesting story too, if you really dig into St. Valentine. Not a loving guy, really. I mean, it ain't Cupid, right? To that point of, to that push and pull, or that those two forces. And I was having a conversation. Here's what I love about today. I coach women's basketball at McHenry County College, right?
Do you?
Yeah.
Cool.
And one of my players, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, maybe she's now, works over at Riverside Bakery.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. And we're talking after our game last night, and she's like, and we're talking about today, and she's like, you can't believe how many men have come into the bakery and said, do not goof this up. I will never hear the end of it. Last year, ...
Really? Oh man.
And so I go, what? And she goes, yes. I go, what, 3, 4? She goes, no. That 20, 25, right? Which tells me it has nothing to do with love at this point. And we're talking about donuts. Right? We're talking about
that's
donuts.
Awesome. Why are they worried about messing it up? I'm not sure.
Well, they're worried about their spouse's or their girlfriend or whatever, or maybe it was you're the best girlfriend in the world, and I didn't want to give that to my wife, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
Who's Janet?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that tells me that we've escaped what love is, especially on a day of quote unquote the day of love, right? St. Valentine Day.
Yeah.
And when it's about that rather than love and that frequency.
It's
And
about a frequency, isn't it?
yeah, and finding that frequency of your partner or your kids or your co-host or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
that's a hard one, isn't it? And
Yeah.
unconditionally loving them. And it's been said, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
Beloved
huge.
Stephen Covey, I
Yep.
loved him. And, when you're judging another, it's often hard to be in that love frequency, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. So love unconditionally, right?
That's it.
Love yourself. And,
I like to walk through life and making sure people understand they're in the splash zone.
oh, I like that.
You know what I mean? If you think about SeaWorld or Blue Man Group or something like that, or Gallagher, right? If you're in the first couple rows, you're in the splash zone. Probably going to get wet, get blue, or get watermelon on you, right?
Yeah.
And so what I try to do throughout the day, throughout the week, my life is I don't have to hold your hand, look you in the eye, and go, man, I love you, brother, right? I want some to splash on you so that you go, you know what, that guy, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, it's a frequency and people feel it.
Yep.
Although they say you need at least 13 hugs a day.
Yeah.
I'm a hugger.
You know what it stands for?
Hugger? Hugging?
Hug.
Hug. What?
Heavenly urge from God.
I get them all day.
There you
And
go.
it's not just for women. It's just people in general.
So,
I just hug everyone.
so it's great that you say that. The athletic trainer at young lady, 26, 27 years old, something like that. Wonderful, wonderful person. Just great kid.
Mm.
Having a bad day the other day.
Mm.
And I could see it just written all over.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there. I go, I'm not going to try to creep you out or look to get fired, but you need a hug.
Oh, yeah.
And she looked at me like, what? I'm like, it really feels like you need a hug.
Yep.
We can hug this out.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? My daughter said, either my 21-year-old daughter, he's like, oh, yeah, he does this. And I'm like, all right, I mean, I'm here if you need a hug. Because sometimes a day like today, and this is minutes. Yeah, I didn't even really talk to her. She didn't unload anything on me. I was just like, a day like today, sometimes a hug works.
It gets deep, depending on how deep you got to go or want to go. But like inside us, what if there's this electromagnetic frequency, bipolar electromagnetic frequency? It's been said, as above, so below, as within, so without, body, mind, and soul. And I didn't say that. That's a Hermetic
Well, you
principle,
just did.
but I just did.
Yeah.
And what if housed within us is the source that controls and runs the universe?
Exactly.
And it's this frequency and it's this heart math, and that's an actual entity. And so we have this energy within us. And when two hearts come together, especially if it's a left-sided hug, now you've just connected two universes. What if we lived in a multiverse?
Mm-hmm.
And so, people need hugs because people need to connect to divinity, and they need to connect to another.
So I'm going to ask
self.
a question.
Yeah.
Are you the first to release from a hug, or do you wait for the other person to release?
I used to be the first to release.
Yeah, used to. So not now. Huh?
I'm getting better, and it used to be hard for me to be around a man, to be
Really?
hugged by a dude, kind of. But my dad always hugged me.
Yeah.
He's one of the most loving men in my life, and my mother. But the thing that happened to me when I was little, probably it had a massive effect on me. And so I'm just getting through that, trying to work that out. Unfortunately, it comes out in the gym.
Well,
So
the other thing though is, and here's what I want people to understand as well, especially with dudes, is they do the bro handshake and the quick slap on the back, right?
Yeah.
Bring it in, right? Men yearn for
men
that.
Need love
from other men.
They do. Men need love from men.
Yeah.
They need hugs from men, maybe even a kiss on the cheek. I tried to do that to my dad, but he's like, he's kind of got this.
What's up, 7XX, ZX, 7Zax? How are you, brother? Sister.
This is kind of cool that people can like
jump in.
check in.
What do you guys? Hey, if you're out there, Adham, how are you? Hey, it's Valentine Day across the world. So says Hallmark cards. What do you? No, you're good. I get it. Good gamer name. What do you guys do? What do y'all do for the? What are some of your ways to let people know you love them, especially on a Valentine Day, as Hallmark would say?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I like to hug.
Yeah.
I love to tap on the shoulder.
So you are a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Right? So you're a
Mhm.
doctor of chiropractic.
Yeah.
So you're exchanging energy
All
with
day.
people all day.
All day.
Mhm. Right?
Mhm.
People come to you like, I've got this migraine I can't get rid of, and and your energy, your hands, and
you can have energy is everything. Your frequency. So your wife, my wife is an expert at tone. Okay. See, sometimes you can't hear someone because who they are is speaking louder than what they're saying.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah.
And there was a pastor that I went to a church that kind of epitomized that, where he'd get up and he would preach, but it was hard to hear because the arrogance was just
the smugness.
It was really tough, and that church kind of had a problem. It kind of had an issue, but that was when I was now more of a mystic, I have to say. But
maybe a true believer. Anyway. Hey, Adam. Love to know the fact about Valentine. Yep, roll it out there. But that's also the space that we've created in the world, and we as human beings, right? I look at it and say, the Roman Church said, don't want anything to do with this. My blood is not on my hands. You do what you got to do. I'm going to throw it on you.
Right.
And then saw how many people were upset and following and go, hey, we could make money on this.
Yeah.
Let's create a church.
Let's create an organization.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we'll call the rules, because that's what we do. They were the Roman Empire. We'll call it the Roman Catholic. I'm not going to say it because there are.
You know what Catholic means, by the way? It means universal.
Universal. Small c.
Yeah, small c. And Christ doesn't mean a person. It means charism or anointing, right. And then that gets deep.
Yeah. Yeshua.
Yeah. Right. God saves is what that means. Yeah. That means, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So. And we could go. This is what Man Camp is, right? Yeah. I'm sitting here and just bouncing and challenging and thinking and going, never looked at it that way.
It's interesting what we get fed through the matrix and what they want us to know and continue to believe in and so forth.
So you adjust somebody, give them a hug, and out the door they go? Or?
Sometimes it usually starts with a hug.
Okay, hug first.
And then it ends with one. Not always, but I try not to hug, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just tell people I love them, and that really throws people off, especially when you don't know them. I was at the gym on the treadmill, and if you've seen me work out, I'm not like everybody else, and so.
Well, you're doing it on your hands. I don't.
I'm not like anyone. So here's one for you.
Yeah.
Here goes the scripture. It's been said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. But I say unto you, God is love. I am self-existent, and all is one, or Buddha consciousness. And only when you become at one within thy kingdom, or your higher self, will thy kingdom come. CUM. And what if awakening is but an orgasmic eruption of the heart? And so what does that have to do with the gym? Well, I don't do what everybody else does, because I do me. I do Jeff. So I dance in the gym. I dance on a treadmill, and I do it to weird martial arts. And then I do this weird writhing on the floor, which is sort of a form of jiu-jitsu and martial arts and exercise. I'm kidding, not really. Just working out those love muscles, but really those muscles that strengthen your core and your stability. And when people see me, they're like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
And what I've come to know
There's
is
a reason that area is the chakras.
so yeah, if you don't work
Right.
out your lower dantian and the lower chakras, which a chakra means energy will.
Right.
So if you're not having sex, which is love, okay, sex. Yes, I said sex.
Shayna, how are you? And look, Coach is here. Wonderful. All right. Glad to have you guys with us. Shayna says, wait, finish your thought on the chakras. You're not having sex.
If you're not moving the lower sacrum and the lumbar spine,
Mhm.
if you're not going out and dancing and doing salsa, just
Mhm.
moving those areas stop working.
That is
And
great.
it really affects the energies and the things in the body. And so we need to move as humans.
Yeah. Drew, who's one of the business partners here, we call him Cappuccino.
Oh, yeah.
He's always like, my dad always said, hey, knock that off or you're going to go blind. He goes, Dad, I'm over here. All right.
That's hilarious.
Shayna says, if love is a frequency, what if it could be artificially generated or broadcast? So you can go on to YouTube. You can get those sound frequencies that help your being, help your state. Lisa Eflint, who does Living Outside the Box, a new show this Sunday, a new episode, I guess, this Sunday at 9, is good at those frequencies as well, right? Understands. So that is a good point.
It's a great
Could we create a hum out there in the world? Let's call it, I don't know, big windmills out and creating some sort of frequency that keeps.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I did it today in the bathtub during my bathtub yoga. By the way, yoga means religion, and religion means yoga, and that means union with the divine.
Yeah.
And so in the bathtub, I actually do this meditative thought, and I put headphones on, and I listen to the frequencies 432 or 9. There's 963 and 500 and something. 28, and these are all those frequencies on the Fibonacci frequency, which is the golden ratio. Which is what the universe is based on. And unfortunately, that's been changed to a different frequency. So music and all of music used to be on this Fibonacci frequency.
Right.
And they've moved it off. And what if we are not what we think we are? What if we're light only and we're vibrating in coherence? And we aren't, this isn't solid. It appears to be. But when we start talking about quantum physics, everything is mostly quantum space.
Right. Yeah.
So what if our frequency can and does create disease, or can and will create harmony? And what if we really can be our own singularity, a vortex unto ourselves, and we can, just through thought alone, bring to ourselves things that we want to manifest?
Yeah. I think you can. I mean, that's we talk a lot about that, right?
Yeah.
And then Shayna says fear is a faster frequency, right? A faster traveler. Love's more powerful, right? So fear sets in quick, right? Yeah. And then it's fight or flight. We get into all stages of weirdness because we tend to move away from that love.
I'm an expert on fear.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to, because it's been one of my biggest struggles. When I say it's been hard for me to overcome fear. And but I think fear is the fuel that feeds hatred's fiery wrath, and love, but the divine spark that sets heaven aflame. So remember, when your behavior betrays your belief, that's when you feel the sting of hypocrisy's shame. And so fear is that fuel, and it feeds hatred. And you see it today in the world based off of religion.
A lot.
Not totally.
Adham says, so here's the Valentine fact. So Valentine was made because a saint named Valentino had an affair with a woman.
Yeah, that's awesome.
At that time, affairs were really serious, and the guy was a saint, so they killed him. And the people who were okay with him made it a celebration of that day.
I like the Jeff's creeping me out.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Bathtub yoga. Yeah, we make sure that you have a good mat on the bottom of that bathtub so you don't slip. But
is there a smiley face with tears, or is it just like?
Yes, laughing. Yeah, Shane is awesome people. So the name of your let's throw it out there. It's that time. Your practice is where?
Well, I don't know. After this conversation,
Maybe
not
we
even
don't want to
sure.
talk about it.
I don't have a practice. Hold on, I'm just
Yeah.
this guy that came in off the street.
We'll call him Doctor. Air quotes.
Doctor. You know what doctor means? It means teacher. You
Teacher
know,
Pepper.
just means teacher.
Teacher Pepper.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The greatest teacher is the one within. What if?
What if?
Yeah.
Hey, Scott. Good morning. Glad to have you with us. Scott is one of the man campers.
Oh, love it.
He's relatively new. He's only been up there 2 or 3 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's relatively new, but yeah, we got a new man camper. I think, Scott. It'll be good. We'll add one. We'll add one to the full. The idea of love to me, I love spaghetti. I love a good hamburger. I love. Right. And the truth of the matter is when we say that, right? I love a good cup of coffee, right?
Yeah, me too.
There was a time I love a good cigarette after a meal, right? I mean, you know,
Sure.
7 out of 10 doctors like the toasted taste of camel. I don't. Yeah.
I like that.
You know,
Toasted taste of camel. Did you make that up?
I know. I think that was the
Oh, it
real
was
one
awesome.
back in the day. And so we say that. Oh man, I love the Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
Right. And what it is that we're really trying to connect with is that moment of vibration that goes, I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah.
This was good for me. Right.
Right.
Thusly, if I let's talk Big Macs. I got food poisoning when I was 18 or 19 years
Did
old from a Big Mac. And guess what? I've never had since.
Big Mac.
Don't love the Big Mac.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
it wasn't probably right. So I don't love the Big Mac.
You know, it's modeling and experience and neural feedback and, you know, things that start to wire in your brain. They connect to certain emotions. And now we're really talking some deep emotions.
Yeah, I love it.
What if housed within the Son of Man or our body temple are the emotions of God and the things that's happened to us during our journey, our sojourn here upon the earth. And we hold those as engrams or emotional frequencies within us. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And so what's interesting when it comes to neuroscience, 95% of our brain is subconscious, housed over here on the left side of the brain in this zone called the Wernicke zone. And we're 5% conscious mind. So some people might say, well, that doesn't pertain to me, but that's only 5% conscious mind. And so our body does keep the score. It remembers. And what if this isn't our only go around? Maybe what if and that gets deep when we start talking about multiverses, but you know, we start talking about quantum physics and things. But so what I'm saying is that how is love modeled in your home? You know?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the way then we go
By
forward.
my Labradoodle.
By your Labradoodle. That's cool.
She's
I got a Bernie Doodle.
I try to live up to the
Aw.
person she thinks that I am.
Oh,
Right? That dog it doesn't matter. That dog
that is
always loves to see me.
so beautiful. I mean, you know, right?
Yeah.
I remember one time at church, the pastor got up and he said, you know, after he crushed the Buddha with a hammer,
Oh boy.
and then he said, you know, just so you know, dogs and cats and animals, they don't go to heaven. And I just thought to myself, what if it's all a frequency?
Right.
And what if heaven is a state of being?
Absolutely.
Conveniently housed within nature's tabernacle of flesh and blood
Right.
since before the flood.
Right. Hindu the Hindu religion feels that you keep coming back up to 100,000 times
Yeah.
until you get it right.
Like a wave upon the ocean
Yeah.
as it crashes into the shore. And yet it returns back to the ocean to become the allness once more. Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You can't take, when you take the piece or the part out of the whole, it still contains the totality of it.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Well, and that's you know, I say that all the time too. Is I'm like, okay, so your God, you have this God who created the world on the pottery wheel,
Yeah.
right?
Like Ghost. Demi Moore.
Yeah, exactly. And then take a look at this world. Now you don't think as an artist this God of yours goes, well, fuck this one up. Let's try it again.
Did you say fuck? He said that word.
Let's try this. Let's try this one again,
That's
and
a
we'll
good-
put it over here,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, It's an interesting.
Ted,
There's,
good morning.
yeah, there. You know, what if we could talk about ETs, extraterrestrials, and what if we were visited by some entities, and they came from heaven to earth, and they built megalithic structures and things we don't comprehend,
Or a pyramid that
Or
we call a mountain
pyramid.
now. Who knows? I don't know.
and they slice some of their DNA into some of the Homo sapiens, because we now know at the chromosomal level, chromosome 2, at that level, there's been a splicing. And maybe that was something that happened. It's
Yeah.
interesting because over in Samaria, it's written on cuneiforms. But these things we don't hear about in
Right.
school or Sunday school.
No, you don't.
Right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
before the Bible, there were ancient texts that contained Nephilim and giants in the book of Enoch,
Yeah.
which was conveniently taken out of the narrative that was being spun during the time of Constantine.
Right.
This is getting deep.
That's right.
Saint Valentine. That's
that's
too
what-
bad he was
yeah.
burnt. You know, it says just
Coach says
something.
back to the grandbaby. So he's going back to love, right? So
Go back
says,
to
well
love.
done, guys.
Sorry,
Have a-
guys.
Shayna says, do you think it's wrong somehow to enjoy the group energy of a church service that you don't belong to or necessarily believe in?
You know, I gotta say, I think I don't like to say this, but
Yeah.
throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I think that
Yeah.
you know, there's purpose to churches and being with people.
So here's what I would say. If you're truly enjoying the group energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I think you're okay.
I do too.
If you're following the preacher, right?
Right.
So a lot of these mega churches, a lot of Kool-Aid drinkers followed a person or love a particular preaching style.
Right.
Oh man, this guy or this woman or
Right.
whatever. And I always say you should never rest your faith in a person.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself going to one of these because of the person who's preaching,
Mhm.
then now it's time to go.
Yeah,
Right.
it's that's a great
Yeah.
observation.
So enjoying the energy is good because you can get good energy. I mean, you have, I have, I'm sure Shane has
Yeah.
walked into a church and gone, woo, I'm not coming back here.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
There's a church
That
in
energy.
the area that I love. I love the pastor. I love his wife. I love the people. Sorry, been good to me.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I try not to get emotional. There was a time I was pretty angry because I grew up in a particular faith. I
Oh,
won't say who. The Mormons. I love the Mormons, and they're good.
it's a
people.
great musical.
Yeah. The Book of Mormon musical. It was. Well, hey, you know,
That's my love. I don't like people getting emotional, right? So I
Yeah.
always throw that
but
out.
it was good, you know, and I went through my angry phase and so forth, but I'm grateful for what I learned out of there, and then
Yeah. So Shayna says, I'm some version of an omniist and
Cool.
and recoil from joining. I just don't know if that's rude. No, not at all. No, that's not rude. And as we've kind of talked about it today, God is love. God's a frequency. God's not a old white bearded dude up there.
She isn't.
That we have
It is.
that a historically male dominated world has created God to be, right?
You know,
And there's a
yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
more people feel better with Mother Nature than perhaps God himself.
I mean, you're getting deep, you know.
Yeah.
It's been said, I am the truth, the way,
Yep.
and the life. Isn't that is that how it rolls out?
Yep. He who
And-
believes in me.
And no man should come unto me except
Yep.
by way of the Father. But what if it's the Divine Mother, she who gives life? What if she who gives life, what if that is the womb of our creation?
Yeah.
And what if it's a divine feminine energy? You know, Jesus said, or Esau, in the book of Thomas, which was taken out, one of the Gnostic
Great book,
apostles,
actually. It's
Yeah, great, right?
Very deep thinking. but-
only when the male becomes the female and the female male, right? What if that's a yin yang thing,
Exactly is
right?
right. Yeah.
And and then it's coupled in the lovemaking
Right.
process.
Right. So
Such a deep
we
deep-
call him Doubting Thomas, but
Yeah.
he was a deep thinker,
He was so.
right? And
Mhm.
that was his that's why he was one of the followers, because he
Yeah.
thought differently. He thought deeply,
He
right?
did.
But because of that deep thought, we said, oh,
Got to take that out. Doesn't fit the narrative.
right. And he was the only one who was like, yeah, when I can put my finger in the wound, I'll believe y'all that he was here, right?
Yeah.
So he was just that was his level. That was his level of thought. And the book, if you haven't, the Gospel of Thomas, right?
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth the read.
It is. It is. Yeah.
So Shayna says, whatever God is, I'm certain my little brain doesn't understand though. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I say too. And I've had so many conversations about that, and just be like, if I try to put a pronoun on God, it shrinks my God too small. My little brain can't comprehend the vastness that exists beyond time, space, whatever.
That's right.
I can't.
Right.
Right. And a lot of Christians, a lot of people will look at me and go, what? That's ridiculous. I go, no, it's not.
I love you.
Right. How is that? It's not. It's not this guy on the Sistine Chapel.
No, if we could take away all those words and just replace it with love, that would be good. I was in a home once. I won't say who, but I brought up Allah. And well, that just means God. And God just means Dios. And Dios just means Dieu. And Dieu just means Papa Nu Kenanciala. You see, these are all different languages, but they're all ways in saying that's how they say God. Jesus never said God because he didn't speak English. He said Allah.
Right.
And on the cross, he said Eli Eli lama sabachthani.
Yeah.
So that's because he spoke Aramaic.
Right.
See, we've created division.
Yep.
And it's been said, he that knoweth not love knoweth not the Father, for God is love. So if you abide in love, then love abides in you. My Sweet Lord by George Harrison, I think it's a great song.
Good one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
love. I didn't know he got burnt, Mr. Valentine, Saint Valentine.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Valentino.
Yeah.
Mr. Valentino.
That's terrible. But maybe it's just part of the path.
But and that's why I said, hey, love's a 4-letter word, because it's one that we don't understand. It's one we don't necessarily want. It's one that we're afraid of. It's one that we don't want to throw out there, or when we do throw it out, we throw it out incorrectly. Love your shoes, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And when in all meanings to me, and the way that I think, believe, and try to walk my path, is that is it.
It's it.
That is it.
It.
Okay. Because in those moments, as we talked about, when you are one with your partner, right?
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
When that baby,
That's it.
and it's seconds old.
That's it.
That's it.
And that thing is sacred. Jesus said, "That's
Right.
Such is the kingdom.
Yeah.
Let the children come unto me, for
Yeah.
such is the kingdom."
Yeah.
You know, and then we later teach that they're going to some place other than the kingdom because they're born in sin. So
Right.
we just have to bathe ourselves in a new doctrine called love.
Yep. Yeah.
This is fun. Bob Marley.
But when you truly, to me, I feel once we as a society, as a human, understand that,
Yeah.
right? I have had incredible interactions with people who are not quote unquote Christians. I will always say I'm a Christian, tried, true. We'll get into that, outside of the show, but tried, true, the whole works, right?
Mhm.
A couple of downvotes, and that's why I am. That's why I'll never back down from it. So, no, I am. But Jesus didn't walk around and go, "What? You're a Buddhist? Get the fuck out of here!" Right?
When he was in Tibet, most likely, no.
Right. You know what I mean? the people, if you take Buddha and you take that philosophy, huge, all about love, about being Zen, about being in the moment, about understanding that vibration. And sometimes that scares those who don't understand. And we are always quick as a person I will fight with you with my belief, even though I have no idea what your belief is.
Well, I got one for you. Here we go on belief. Here's one.
Yeah.
One of those downloads. Let your light shine bright like the sun, and find a feeling to believe in. For only when belief gives way to becoming the pure essence of love and light will man be released from his endless suffering and plight. So what if only when we return back to the womb of creation, or this frequency of love, will, we come to know the true nature of the universe or the cosmos or ourselves, right? It's love.
Yeah.
And when will war cease to be among men? When egos die and gods rise, only then.
Yeah.
Jesus said, all that I can do, you can do, and even greater things than these.
Mm-hmm. And woman said, anything you can do, I can do better.
That's right.
I remember that.
That is so true. I mean, that is so true. The whole, I think we are in the age of Aquarius, the divine feminine, and it's time for that masculine domineering energy to be.
So love eludes all time, space, everything.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, we just sat down and it's been an hour already.
Oh, cool. We're done.
Yeah. Right. So listen, we've got to go. Stick around in a half hour. We've got Metaphysical Meanderings with Master Psychic Lana Duncan Hartgraves. And I'm not sure if she'll be here, but we'll get her. And then let's see, today's Wednesday. Nothing else this afternoon, but then a big day on Friday with the grounds, with bridging civil tension, or the bridge, innovative strategies, the digital boss boardroom with our good friends over at Think Big Go Local and Bobby Bainey, which is great. And Ted threw it. That's out there. And I'm going to throw this out there because I love Ted. And Ted just says, before we get out of here, I think it's wrong to go to church for the preacher. And I think it's important to understand their message they preach. Getting the lesson from church is most important. We are asked to have faith in the message and believe in the words. But I feel the main message is live life with a good purpose. Love those around you unconditionally. Learn something new every day. Treat others with the love and respect we search for each day. And we can live better together. And that's the way we finish this show. Thanks, Ted.